Okay, so we talked a little bit about version control in general, and we used the terminal simply to do some comparisons of files. We can do the same thing with Git, and in fact Git will sometimes force us to do that if it's worried about perhaps some conflicting information in different files. However, before we can look at that, we need to make sure that we have Git installed, and if we don't install it, as well as actually set up a project so we can actually start looking at some of the data. So let's do that. The very first thing is let's see if we have Git installed. So I'm going to go to my Launchpad, and over here in Other, I'm going to launch Terminal. Let's zoom in a bit so you can see it easier. And I have some different ways that I can find out if Git is installed. First thing, I could just type which Git, and this is going to show me where it's located, assuming that it's installed. So it's telling me that it's in my /user/local area. What I can also do, now that I know it's installed, I could also do git -- version, and it will tell me which version of Git I have. Now, I could have done this from the very start actually, and if it had Git, it would tell me which version, and if it didn't have Git, well then I wouldn't find out which version because I don't have a version, right? So it would have given me like a not found type error. The other thing that I can do is I could also type ls/usr/local, and this is going to list the contents in my local folder. And I have several things in mind, including Git. Now, if you don't see Git in here, then you probably don't have Git unless it's in some weird spot on your computer. Now, if it's saying that you don't have this folder or it can't find this file, well then you probably don't have Git, or once again, it's in some weird spot. So if you don't have Git at all, you can download it pretty easy. It's free. So I'm just going to go to Google and search Git. And it's probably going to be this first link. That should be the URL. If you click on it, it should look like this. It is probably going to correctly detect which operating system you're on. But if it doesn't for some reason, you can go to Downloads here and choose the specific one you're looking for. It should automatically download, but if it doesn't, you can click here, which will take you to the SourceForge link, where it should automatically download. If it doesn't, you can click here, in which it will begin downloading, like so. Now I have already downloaded it, so I don't need that. So yeah, I downloaded it earlier. It's not very big. I could have let it play out. It's only 25 megabytes, so it shouldn't take very long. If we double click on this, we should have our contents here, which includes an install file as well as a README to guide you through it if you need additional help. Now, if you have an old version and you want to update or something like that, I'm not going to go into that here because we're just going to do some simple stuff. If you have Git, then I can show you this, and you can worry about updating once you have down some of the basics. I'm going to throw that away because I already have Git. So once Git's installed, or if you already have it installed, the next thing to do is to make sure that you have your configuration set up for you as a user. Now, this isn't hard, but you do want to make sure that you're following along and that you're typing exactly what I'm typing. So when we're referring to this, we're talking about setting up the global config. And that might sound like it's the whole computer, but it's actually just global for you. So it affects everything on your account, but it's not the whole computer. That would be the system. So when we're referring in the next few parts about global this or global that, it's just your account. So if someone already has it set up on a different user account on the same machine, doesn't affect it. It's just for your account. So the first thing that we can do is we can make sure that's not already set up. So if I type git config user.name, nothing happens because it doesn't exist. And if I want to make sure, I could do ls LA just inside of my home folder. I haven't done any changing of directories or anything. And we can see in here, we can see a lot of things, but most importantly if we scroll up to where .git would be, there is nothing. And if you're really unsure, you could do cat.git-config, which is the file we were just looking for a moment ago. And if I type that, oh, hang on, git config, and I press enter, no file or directory found. So we don't have any configuration for Git yet on this account. So to set up some configuration, I'm just going to do the basics for right now, nothing fancy. There's some other stuff that you're going to want to set up, but we're not going to worry about it yet. So just the basics would be git config 2 global, so it's affecting just this user account, but all of this user account. User.name, and then 2 sets of double quotes, but inside of these double quotes we need to put our username. So I'm going to use my regular handle and press enter. Seems okay. If we want to try that command earlier, that git config user.name, there we go. So it worked. Next thing you normally want to do is set up your email. So git config 2 global user.email. Once again, 2 sets of quotes with the email address inside. So I'll just use my Gmail account that is associated with my YouTube account. Everything looks okay. If I tell it that I want to check that, so git config user.email, which would have worked if I didn't typo, user.email, there we go. So it matches. And now if we do git config --list, we get a whole bunch of stuff. But most importantly, at the bottom we have username and user email. And if we do lsla, which we did earlier, and we scroll up, we have git config. And if we do cat.git-config, we can see their name and email address. So there we go. It's set up, it's configured. There's more we could do, but this will work for now. And in the next video, we'll actually set up a project and try to actually use it as a bit of version control software.